Thank you for taking part in our interview.
Our project is about understanding first generation of Bangladeshi migrants who have come to the UK, in particular Rossendale. We would like to learn about your memories and experience of Bangladeshi/Asian newcomers to Rossendale.
What is your name?
Jeffery Ramsbottom.
If you don't mind us asking, how old are you?
How old am I? 65.
Where were you born?
I was born in Rossendale Hospital, but I lived in Aslington up to 20 years ago, and now I live in Preston.
Why did you choose to settle in Rossendale?
That's where I was born, and I stayed there for quite a long time and got to know a lot of people that lived there. I still know a lot of people that live there, even though it's 20 years since I moved.
Where is your favourite place in Rossendale?
And now then, my favourite place in Rossendale, well, there's some nice walks, there's some nice hills. I think the ski slope's a good place. I do.
What jobs have you held?
I've had the same job all my life, more or less. When I left school, I got an apprenticeship as a joiner, and then I've stayed in the building trade all my life. And it's time to, I've started giving up now, I think, a bit. I've done it a long time.
What are your early memories of first seeing or meeting Bangladeshi South Asian people?
Well, I was telling you before, I used to go to Sunday school on Sunday, and there was a street in Aslington called Pleasant Street. There was a couple of houses that just the men came to live there. There was about half a dozen men maybe in each house, and they worked in the cotton mills. And obviously on Sunday they weren't working, so they'd be out at the front of the house having a smoke, having a chat. I was a bit scared. I used to run up the street and past.
Was there anything that interested or concerned you?
No, not particularly, because I was only young. I didn't fully understand the situation then.
Have you had any Asian friends or colleagues? If so, is there any stories you would like to share?
Oh, I can't tell you how many I know. I know so many. Obviously the older ones I've got to know. Your parents and some of your grandparents, yeah.
Was a communication a barrier amongst Asian or Bangladeshi people?
Was the what, sorry?
Was communication a barrier amongst Asian or Bangladeshi people?
I think there was at the beginning, yeah. Yeah, I think there was, yeah. People, they didn't really mix. It took a bit of getting used to. Probably the people that worked with them in the mills got to know them better because they were spending a bit of time with them. But the general public outside, no, not really, no. But now you've been educated a lot more than what your grandparents were, or your parents even. So you have a 50-50 chance now in England. Everything's equal. The harder you work, the better you'll do.
Any words of advice for the next generation of young people?
Yeah, self-discipline yourself, and if it's something you like doing, keep at it. At the age of 14, I used to write a diary every single day of what I've done. Nothing like on the mobile phones now, it was a little diary. And I did that up to the age of 19. At the age of 19 we moved house. I thought, I don't want these, I threw them all away. I wish I'd never had done now. And then at 19 I started a diary. And I'm still doing it. From 19 up to 65, I can tell you every single day what I've done. And in them diaries, there's a lot about Asian people. I might say, I did this for Shofik, or I did this for such and such a person. So I can go back to the age of 19 every single day. And that's called self-discipline. I mean, it's probably no good to me, but my daughter, or if my daughter has grandchildren, they can look what the granddad did, and it gives you an insight, a life in the past. And if you're interested in things like that, self-discipline yourself. It's hard to do it every night. Sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but you eventually get into an habit. And it's something I do before I go to bed every night. Yeah. It takes me, what, 10-15 minutes, just going through the day, blah, blah, blah. But it is good, I think so, anyway. But you see, these days it's all done up. Is it tablets and things like that? Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have a bloody clue what to do. But yeah, try and remember things in your life. And you look back and it gives you an insight of where you're going.
Did you have a favourite memory when you were a child?
Lots of favourite memories, really. A favourite memory, I remember I was told not to go fishing with my mother and I fell in the bloody river. I remember that, so I got dragged out. Learning to drive. I was always interested in cars, and I had a motorbike at 16 and I had a car at 19. Yeah. And I had a little bubble car which was a three-wheeler, and I set her with the door opened at the front. You might see them sometimes, they're very, very old, but that's what I had, yeah, because you could drive it, even though it was like a car with a motorbike licence.
Where did you like to shop in Rossendale?
Where did I like to shop? Well, there wasn't many supermarkets then, they were all local shops on street corners to get your shopping, but I was always interested in things like binoculars and cameras and things like that, so just a local shop really, in Islington itself.
Do you want to tell us what you've got in your box?
Yeah, I can go through a few things and then they can sit and look at it. The first one, it says on what it was. That was my dad at school, so that's a long time ago. A long time ago, yeah. This was me when I went to St James's School in Islington. The one on the bottom row there. That's when I was 7 years old, and I can still remember. My name's Jeffery Ramsbottom. This was Janice Ratcliffe with the glasses on. She was my girlfriend at school. I mean, I don't know where she is now, no idea, but it's funny you remember them things, don't you? Oh dear. That's me when I was 11. You can look for them after it says on. You know, I think that was my first year at senior school, you know. This was me when I was 22, outside my workshop, which I'd bought to do my job with my old overalls on and a caravan I'd got. Used to go on holiday. Now this is a television in the 1958, that's what the television was like. What they used to watch in the 50s, in the late 50s, early 60s. There was no colour, it was just black and white. Now, this is my dad. This was the fire engine in Islington in the mid-50s. My dad was the driver. He used to pick us up from school on that fire engine, and all the lads like you wanted to be friends because they got a ride out, you know. We all used to stand on the side and hold the bar, which no way could you do that now in health and safety, absolutely no way. But that was fantastic. I used to go with my dad, he used to polish that fire engine. Yeah. It's now the mosque in Islington where the fire station was. The big mosque was the public hall. It was next door to that, that's where the fire station was. Yeah. And that's about that. If you want, you know, if you want to look through then. This is what they used to wear in the cotton mills, but I bought these, I think 70s, 15 quid I paid for them, my clogs. Wood, keep your feet warm, and then a sole sort of screwed on with screws. Wood inside, yeah. Proper leather, proper wood, all natural, all natural stuff. I mean, feel the weight of them, however them are. Them on your feet all day. Yeah. This is my first mobile phone, totally different to what they were like now. But I think I got that in the early 90s, but that was my first mobile, yeah. The first car radio. Yeah. Just a push button, no cassettes, no CDs, no nothing, just a radio. And of course, a telephone out of our house when I was younger. But it's been updated to put the, you know, to plug into the thing. But it didn't originally have that on. I mean, when my dad was a fireman, we didn't have a telephone, we didn't have anything. We just had a bell that used to ring like somebody pressed the doorbell in the house. Wherever he were, he'd go off straight away because he was the driver. And he had to run half a mile to the fire station before he could get the fire engine out. I mean, there were no speed like today. You can imagine there's a fire and somebody's running half a mile just to get to the fire engine before he can set off to fire. Yeah, but, you know, that was in the 50s, yeah. And do you still have milk at school? Do they have milk at school now or not? Do you still have milk at school? I bought this in Manchester actually, my wife bought it. it was, I think it was £3. That's the old school milk bottles. Urban something in, there's a shop in Manchester, Urban something. And we used to get one of them at break time in the morning, and if there were any left, in the afternoon. My mum used to make her own biscuits, and I used to have a few biscuits in my pocket, and somebody swapped me the bottle of milk for a biscuit. So I had 2 bottles of milk. Yeah. So that's back in the day. Yeah, that's right. When I was young, maybe 5, 6, maybe even younger, we call them black men. They weren't Asian as such. I think they come from India and Africa. And they used to come with the turbans on, and they had 1 or 2 big suitcases, old-fashioned brown suitcases or black suitcases, and they used to go around and sell it door, and they used to sell things, different things like perfumes, watches, salt powders, just different things, materials, you know, like silk materials and things like ties, things like that. Yeah, small items really. That started after the war, again in the 50s. The war finished, the Second World War finished in the mid-40s, but in the, that was something. And when I was naughty, my mum used to say to me, that black man will put you in that suitcase and take you away. And then you'd see him coming down the street, and then there'd be a knock on your door, and I'd go and hide behind the settee, you see, when my mother went to the door, yeah. Mum, tell him I've been good. Yeah. One thing I do remember, I remember getting my driving licence at 19, and it said on, you've got this till you're 70. I thought, gosh, I've got this driving licence forever. Another 5 years. And then I think you've got to have them every 3 years after that or something, yeah. But it just shows you how quick your life goes when you're busy. You don't realise how quick your life goes. The older you get, the faster it goes. Believe you me, it does. Up to leaving school, I couldn't wait to leave school, I hated it. Up to leaving school, it never seemed to end. And then there's that little bit, it picks up a bit of speed as it goes along now. 1 year's gone before you know it. It was, man, there was a place on Blackburn Road in Islington. It was called the Red Lion. As you're going through Islington Town Centre, you're carrying on towards Accrington. There's Regent Street. Do you know where Regent Street is? Past Regent Street, then there's the big wall for the church up above. And then there used to be a petrol station. They now do gas stoves at Wilson's at Williams or something. Across from there was a big old building. It used to be a pub. And that's where some of the first Asian men lived there. And they used to work 3 shifts. There was about 20 lived in that place. And as one got out of bed, the other one got in, you know. But there was no women, they just looked after themselves, they cooked basic food. That's my first experience. And I used to go and do work there. And it was a total dump, it was an absolute dump. In the end, it got knocked down by the council. You know, the building was dangerous. But they'd clubbed together and they bought it off the brewery, I think, because it was a big place and there was about 10 bedrooms in, so that's what they wanted. Yeah. Of course, and then the wives came, you see, and they had children. Of course, their children now are British citizens, aren't they, now that they've come here. But that was the beginning, yeah. The wives didn't go out much shopping and they stayed in. The women didn't mix at all. It was only the men, really. It was only the men in groups together. They made their own mosques. You know, they used to buy a big house or a building that was ideal for a mosque, and that's what they did. I think that's to do with the culture, you see. Probably. You see, when you do something when you're young, it's a lot easier. Like these children, they go to school, they meet other children. If they didn't go to school, it might be more difficult. But they mix that. But I mean, these women were sort of 20s, 30s. They'd lived a totally different life in another country, and maybe they were scared. Maybe they didn't know how to take British life. But the men had worked in the mills or whatever job they did, labouring jobs, so they had a little bit more idea. So it was the men that did all the shopping and everything like that. The woman stayed at home, did the cleaning, cooking, or whatever there was to do, yeah. But see, it's changed now. The young girls now grown up, they have their own cars. none of your grandmas would have a car and drive. I very much doubt that. No, no. Well, I mean, you know Afros. You know Afros. He just lives up the road here. I mean, Afros has said to me, he said, "You seemed old when I was little." He said, "You seem to have been around forever, Jeff." That's what Afros said to him. Yeah. I just got to know them, and I work for them. And with the Asians being a small community, they all talked amongst each other. "Oh, my door's broke." "Oh, I've got a sleigh chopper." "Oh, Jeffrey, we know this guy called Jeffrey, see." And I think 80% of them know me now, don't they? But see, like you was only children, but you've seen me come into your houses, haven't you?
Yeah, many times.
And that's how you know me, yeah.
He's coming with a big ladder.
I mean, you might see me about sometimes, I might not even recognise you, but that's that bloke that came and gave us a talk, that old bloke. I never thought I'd be old, but I let you see it comes. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing that's funny. There was a guy, I'm not mentioning no names, used to, even my granddad had chickens, well hens, my granddad had been a farmer, and he used to come after chickens and kill them, didn't he? You had like a ceremony. Yeah. Well, there was one Asian guy, this was when I was young, and this was a bit naughty what we did. There was me and another lad, and he'd opened his boot and gone in his house, and there were 3 or 4 chickens in the bag, and we could hear them when we were going past. And my mate said, "They're going to kill them." I said, "Are they?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Come on, let's nick them." So we nicked these 3 chickens in this bag. I took them home in my cellar, and my mum said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Never mind." I said, "We've just found these chickens." The day after, we actually gave them to somebody what had some hens in, I'm sure, and they had a good life. They lived a bit longer. We stopped them being killed, but you should have seen the guy when he come out scratching his head. That's in Outland. I'm not mentioning no names, but that's something I did bad, yeah. They used to go to the farmers and get them and things like that, didn't they? Yeah. But you see, their grandparents, again, they weren't fussy about their houses. They didn't do such a thing as decorate them one thing or another. If it was okay and you could lock the door at night, they just wanted somewhere to sleep, because they were sending the money back home to your parents. Because it was such a poor country over there, and there was plenty of jobs in the mills. Now all the cotton mills have gone, so you've had to divert somewhere else, and that's diverted into a lot of takeaways and restaurants. I mean, even you will say there's too many takeaways and restaurants now. There are too many. I think for them to make a lot of money, really. There's just the odd one that gets a good name that does well.
Do you prefer the past or the present?
Some things are better now. It was a lot quieter, it was a lot nicer. We used to play out every day. Whereas now, you're on your computers and your mobiles. I can't even use a computer. I wouldn't have a clue what to do. I can only answer a mobile or make a call. I can't even send a text. I think I prefer it back then. People didn't have half as much as what they have now. I mean, you see an house, how many cars have they got? 2 or 3 up the drive. When I was little, I lived in a village of about 60 houses. There was only 3 or 4 cars. Oh, there's traffic on the road now. I don't like things like that. You won't know anything about it. You'll think that's how it always been. It hasn't. It hasn't. No. It's crazy. No, I think you've mixed in now, and as each generation goes on and on and on, it'll just be everyday life. And if you ever go back home, you wonder, what the heck's this place? You know, because you've been brought up here. Yeah, no, it's true. But you ask your granddads or whatever, your grandmas, and they'll tell you all about back home. You ask them, what did they do when they were young? Not what you do. Plus, modern technology now is moving so fast, innit? So fast. Yeah.
Rapid.
Yeah, rapid. You'll be able to live off your mobile soon. You can do anything on it virtually, can't you? And the young ones can. Because, I mean, you get the young ones now, 2 or 3 years old. They can use them like better than me. I brought up to them, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a change in. It was after the war. Things have changed a lot in this country because a lot of different people have come to live here. Before it was mainly British, but since the war or 50s, 60s, it's changed a lot. I think Asian people were some of the first to come here. Now they come from all over Europe, don't they? But they were the first to come. Your grandparents, yeah. Yeah, and the Asian community tended to live together in the same street or the next street, or to pick an area where they lived. But now they buy new houses on estates. Or it's just going the way a normal life in England used to be, or the way it is now. You're just the same.
Yeah.
They like, I mean, the families all live together. I like that in a way. That's a good thing. In Britain, everybody wants to be separate somehow. You know, they don't want to live with their parents, and even when they're young, before they marry or anything, they don't particularly want to live with their parents. They want their own house. They want their independence. And that's the way you will be. I think that's the way it's going now. You won't want to live with your parents, I don't think. I think you want your own house, even before you're married. Now, when they came at the beginning, even the older ones now, they stay together as a family and look after the family. I think that's good. But the first ones that came is like it used to be maybe in England 50, 60 years previously. I mean, in the early 1900s, everybody went to church. Like when they came here, they all went to the mosque.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's the culture you live in.
Idea.
I like the idea of the families looking after each other and things like that. I do really. I think that's nice, because at the end of the day, your family is the closest thing to you and the most important thing to you. And the British culture's gone away from that now, and I think you'll move away from that with time. I do really. It's just because it's the way the world is. It's just changing all the time, and you don't realise it all the time. Yeah. 1971, I think it was. We had decimalisation, where money changed. That was when a lot of Asians were coming into this country then, and inflation went sky high. Absolutely sky high through decimalisation, yeah. Things were quite reasonable. Like I was giving you an example of my wage. Things were really reasonable. You didn't have as much to spend your money on. But the Asian people came over. They thought the wages were good compared to what they had back home. And it didn't cost them much to live anyway. They bought a big house, they all lived there. It was costing them coppers, and they could send money back home and give the families a better life. And I think a lot of them, when they came, intended going back, but they didn't. They actually brought their families and settled, yeah. So they must have liked it, mustn't they?